The vast trading station Nexus 7 hung like a glittering snowflake in space, its 8 massive arms stretching out from a central hub. Beings from 100 different worlds passed through its crowded corridors every day, but none of them spared more than a glance for the small figure huddled in the corner of docking bay 23. The child, if you could call it that, didn't look like any known species. Its skin shifted colors like an oil slick on water, and where eyes should have been, there were only smooth, mirror-like surfaces that reflected the harsh station lights. 2 pairs of thin arms wrapped around its trembling body, and a fin-like crest rose and fell on its head with each breath. Security cameras had caught the moment 3 days ago when a sleek merchant vessel had quickly departed, leaving the creature behind. Since then, station authorities had tried to find someone, anyone, willing to take responsibility for the abandoned alien child. The Zentari declared it wasn't their problem. The Merinthi cited contamination protocols. The Valdorian delegation simply turned their backs. Sarah Chen, human first contact specialist aboard Nexus 7, watched the security footage for the 5th time in her small office. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago as she pored over xenobiological databases, trying to identify the child's species. Nothing matched. "This is ridiculous," she muttered, pushing back from her desk. "We can't just leave it there." Her supervisor, a towering Zentari named Kexti, folded all 6 arms across his kidney's chest. "The station has provided basic nutrient paste. The creature appears capable of consuming it. That is more than protocol requires." Sarah stood up, her chair scraping against the metal floor. "It's a child, Kexti. A scared, abandoned child. Protocol be damned." The Zentari's antennae twitched in disapproval, but Sarah was already walking out the door. She headed straight for docking bay 23, her mind made up. The child was exactly where the cameras showed, crouched in its corner. As Sarah approached slowly, its color rippled from deep blues to anxious purples. She knelt down a few meters away, keeping her movements gentle and deliberate. "Hi there," she said softly. "I'm Sarah. I'd like to help you, if you let me." The mirror eyes turned toward her, as Sarah saw her own reflection distorted in their surface. The child's crest rose slightly, and a soft trilling sound emerged from somewhere in its throat. Sarah stayed where she was, speaking in the same calm voice. "I know you're scared. I would be too, all alone in a strange place. But you're not alone anymore." Slowly, so slowly, one of the child's smaller hands uncurled from its body and reached toward her. Sarah carefully extended her own hand, palm up, waiting. The touch, when it came, felt like warm silk. The child's fingers, 5 of them, just like a human's, explored her hand with delicate curiosity. Its color shifted again, hints of gold now swimming through the purple. "There we go," Sarah smiled. "Would you like to come with me? Get some real food, maybe a warm bed?" The child trilled again, and this time Sarah could have sworn it sounded hopeful. She stood up gradually, keeping her hand extended. After a moment's hesitation, the child took it and rose on unsteady legs. Word spread quickly through the station. Humans, it seemed, were the only species willing to take in an unknown alien child. Within days, Sarah had filed the necessary paperwork to become the child's temporary guardian while broader investigations continued. She named the child Echo, after the way its colors seemed to ripple in response to sounds and emotions. Echo took to station life with remarkable adaptability, learning to communicate through a combination of trills, color changes, and simple hand gestures. Dr. James Martinez, the station's human xenobiologist, was fascinated. "Echo's biology is like nothing we've seen before," he explained to Sarah one evening as they watched the child play with holographic shapes in Sarah's quarters. "The color changing seems to be both voluntary and involuntary, like a combination of conscious speech and emotional expression. And those mirror eyes, they're detecting spectrums of light we can barely measure, let alone see. But why would anyone abandon such an extraordinary child?" Sarah wondered aloud. Echo looked up at the sound of her voice, shifting to a warm orange color that Sarah had come to associate with contentment. The child had already grown several centimeters in the 2 weeks since Sarah had found it, and showed an incredible aptitude for learning. Fear, Probably, James said quietly. Fear of the unknown, of something they couldn't immediately categorize or control. It's one of humanity's better traits, you know. Our ability to look past the strange and see the familiar, to find the common ground. Sarah watched as Echo constructed complex geometric patterns with the holographs, shrilling happily. They're just a child who needed help. How could that not be familiar? Weeks turned into months. Echo grew rapidly, not just in size but in understanding. They learned English with remarkable speed, though they still preferred to communicate through a combination of words, trills, and color shifts. Sarah's quarters became home to an ever-growing collection of books, toys, and art supplies as Echo explored human culture with endless curiosity. Other humans on the station became regular visitors. Lieutenant Park from security brought puzzles that Echo solved with delighted trills. Dr. Rodriguez from medical taught them simple songs, fascinated by the way Echo's colors would pulse in rhythm with the music. Even the maintenance crew made special trips to show Echo how different station systems worked, as the child showed an incredible aptitude for engineering concepts. The non-human species watched this all with a mixture of confusion and concern. You cannot even identify its species, Hexty pointed out during one station meeting. Its biological capabilities are unknown. Its mental development is unprecedented. It could be dangerous. Echo is a child, Sarah replied firmly. They're learning, growing, and thriving. That's not dangerous. That's beautiful. 6 months after finding Echo, Sarah received a priority communication from Earth. The Union Council had reviewed her reports and made a historic decision. Echo would be granted human citizen status, the first of their kind. More importantly, Sarah's temporary guardianship could become permanent adoption if she chose. She found Echo in their favorite spot, a viewport overlooking the station's solar arrays. The child's colors swirled with deep blues and silvers, matching the starfield beyond the reinforced glass. Echo, Sarah said softly, how would you like to make this permanent? To be family, officially. Echo turned to her, mirror eyes reflecting her hopeful expression. Their colors shifted to the bright gold of joy as they trilled family like in the stories. Just like in the stories, Sarah smiled, holding out her arms. Echo rushed into her embrace, all 4 arms wrapping around her as their colors exploded into a rainbow of happiness. Yes, 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 they trilled, each word accompanied by a pulse of bright color. Later that night, as Echo slept in their room, Sarah updated her personal log. People asked me why humans were the only ones willing to help Echo. The answer is simple. We looked at a strange, abandoned child and saw not an alien to fear, but a person to love. That's humanity's real strength, not our technology or our adaptability, but our capacity to care, to nurture, to welcome the unknown with open arms and open hearts. Echo is unlike anything we've ever encountered, yet they're also like every child who has ever needed a home. Maybe that's why we were the ones to step forward when no one else would. Because somewhere in our long history of looking up at the stars, we learned that different doesn't mean wrong, and that family isn't about what you look like or where you come from. It's about who stays when everyone else walks away.